Hi everyone, last video this week is about exchange rate theory. Now let's think first of all about what an exchange rate is. An exchange rate measures the value of one currency in terms of another currency. For a lot of you, your only real experience with exchange rates will be when you go down to the bureau de change to buy US dollars or euros to go on holiday to Europe, etc. On a macro level, there are two big reasons why people need to demand or supply different currencies, and it's linked to international trade and for investment purposes. So if foreign people want to buy British exports or come on holiday to Britain, they've got to demand our currency. But also, if foreign people want to invest within our economy, they have to first of all demand our currency. Now, what we've then got to think about is how do we determine the value of a currency? So why is £1 worth roughly $1.20 at the moment? Why is £1 worth roughly €1.05 at the moment? Well, it's like anything else. Its value is determined by supply and demand, and we'll be using these diagrams a lot more in the second year of the course. But what I've done here is I'm comparing the pound against the US dollar, and I'm assuming at the original equilibrium point, £1 is worth $1. Now what we're going to think about now is the impacts on our economy of a depreciation of the pound. Now what this means is that the pound is worth fewer dollars than what it was previously. So the value of our currency has fallen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to assume this. Originally, £1 used to buy you $1. That £1 will now only buy you 50 cents. So that means that your to buy $1, you've now got to sacrifice £2. Now think about what this means first of all then. If you're a British exporter and you're selling products to America, imagine you're selling these products to America for £1. That means the American consumer has got to pay originally, at the original exchange rate, $1 to buy that £1 product based on those exchange rates. Well, look at the benefits for the American consumer now. To buy the £1, they're now going to sacrifice 50 cents. In other words, it's half the price than what it was before. So that now means that British exports are cheaper to buy. So because our products are now cheaper to buy in America, it should lead to a growth in export demand. Now, another way of thinking about this though is the impact on importers. In Britain, we have to import products from the American economy. There might be a business in America that's flogging a particular product for $1 that we import into our economy. At the original exchange rate, to buy that $1 import, we had to sacrifice £1. Well, the problem now is that the new exchange rate, to buy $1, we've now got to sacrifice £2. So the big problem now is in the UK economy, those imports, I should say £2, have become more expensive. So look at the impacts of this on our economy then. And by the way, everyone, you've got a really good acronym to remember this here. We've got something that we call Whippy DAC. Weak pound, imports dear, exports cheaper. Look what's happened. Based on this exchange rate movement here, the imports have doubled in price. So a $1 import used to cost £1, is now going to cost £2 to buy. Exports have become far cheaper for the UK economy. Look again. A £1 product used to cost the Americans $1, it will now cost them 50 cents. So Whippy DAC, this shows exactly what happens with the currency depreciation. Weak pound, imports dear, exports become cheaper. So look at the benefits of this then. First of all, British exporters win because our goods are now more competitive in America. So export demand will grow. So Britain will export more to America. But also, if you're a UK worker that works in one of these industries, you're also going to win. Because the growing export demand from America will create more jobs in the UK economy. Now also, British firms might win from this as well. And the reason why is because imports have become more expensive. But that means that British producers will now hopefully sell more in their own economy. So domestic firms should do quite well out of this currency depreciation. There are some bad things though. A lot of the things that we buy are imported into our country. Well, if businesses now pay more to bring these things in, it will mean that UK consumers will pay a higher price to buy these products in our economy. A currency appreciation is where the pound gains value against a foreign currency. So here I'm going from £1 equals $1 to £1 equals $2. So in other words, the pound will now, in other words, buy you double the amount of dollars it would do before. And again, look at the impact on the economy of this. Now, what we would say is exports now will become a lot dearer. And look why. A £1 export used to cost $1 to the Americans based on the original exchange rate. Well, to buy a £1 now, they've got to sacrifice $2. So it's doubled in price. So export demand will now probably go down from Britain. Imports though should become cheaper. And look why. To buy a $1 good from America used to cost £1. Well, based on the new exchange rate, it's only going to cost you 50p. And think about why. For £1 you get $2. So for 50p you get $1. So that $1 good is now half the price than what it was before. So again, we've got an acronym. We've got something that we call SPICED. Strong pound, imports cheap, exports dear. As the pound gets stronger and appreciates, imports become cheaper. And look why. A $1 good has fallen from being £1 down to 50p. Exports will become more expensive. So American people now will pay double the price at these exchange rate changes than what they would do before. So let's think about who this is really, really good for. It's really good for UK importers that have to buy things from America. And it should mean those things that are imported become a lot cheaper for us to buy. So the prices that you pay for lots of products now might start to fall. On top of that though as well, we've got some potential losers, UK exporters and workers. So because of the higher export prices across the world, export demand will start to fall and some people might start to suffer. Just to wrap it up everyone, I want to think about this. So let's move the screen so you can see the top of the page. We've got these acronyms again, SPICED and Whippy DAC. Strong pound, imports cheap, exports dear. So this links with appreciation and then Whippy DAC. Weak pound, imports dear, exports cheap. This one will be linked to a depreciation of the currency. Now what we said before then was strong pound. Imports cheap, so we buy more imports. Exports dear, so export demand falls. Well, think about the formula. AD, C plus I plus G plus X minus M. If imports increase and exports fall, there will be an inward shift in aggregate demand. So the economy started off at AD1, SRAS1. Well, higher import demand and lower export demand would lead to AD moving inwards. But what we're also going to get though is a outward shift in short-run aggregate supply. Because imports are cheaper, it will mean lots of things that we import from America will now be cheaper for businesses to buy, and this will reduce lots of business costs. So SRS will also move outwards. So the impact on the economy is we start off there and we end up at that point there. So what you might argue is SPICED or strong pound, imports cheap, export dear. It's really, really good if you want to reduce inflation in the economy. So look at that, it's brought down both demand pull and cost push inflation. Now Whippy DAC, weak pound, imports dear, exports cheap. It would mean that imports will fall because they're now more dear, they're more expensive, and exports are cheaper, so we will sell more across the world. And if I think about the AD formula this time, we're going to have import demand falling and exports increasing. So more exports and fewer imports would lead to an outward shift in aggregate demand. But also, remember, we've got to import lots of things into the country. If these things are now more expensive, it would lead to a growth in some business costs. So the economy will go from there to there. So what you might argue is this diagram's good, or these impacts are good if you want to create a growth in GDP. That export-led growth thing might happen. It might be good if you want to see inflation increase a little bit. It might also be good if you want to see unemployment start to come down. So that should say lower unemployment. It's also a really, really good thing if you want to improve trade performance. So if this is promoting more export, it's going to improve the UK's trade performance. So in many ways, you've got that thing we said before about a conflict between different objectives. Appreciation's good if you want to bring down inflation, so that might be a good thing to do in a positive output gap. A depreciation, a weaker pound, is probably a good thing if you're in a negative output gap and you want to increase GDP. You want to raise inflation back up towards 2%. You want to bring down unemployment, but also really, really good if you want to improve the country's trade performance. So guys, from them diagrams there you can see exactly what the impacts on the economy would be of both appreciation and depreciations in our currency. Thank you very much.